haunted Raynham Hall, England. Have you ever stared at a photograph so long, it begins to feel like it's staring back? There's one picture, grainy, ghostly, and horribly famous, that has haunted historians, skeptics, and believers alike for over a century. A staircase, a woman in a long, flowing gown, her face empty, hollow, almost skeletal. That photograph was taken at Raynham Hall, and what haunts it has never left. Raynham Hall sits nestled in the Norfolk countryside of England, a grand and noble estate with a history soaked in centuries of whispers. Built in the 1600s, it was meant to be a symbol of aristocratic power and refinement. But what it became, what it invited, was far darker. The legend begins with Lady Dorothy Walpole, sister to Britain's first Prime Minister. Known for her beauty and charm, Dorothy married Charles Townshend, a man whose smile masked a violent temper. When rumors swirled that Dorothy had taken a lover, Charles locked her away in Raynham Hall, never to be seen alive again. Some say she died of smallpox, others say starvation, but all agree she did not rest in peace. It wasn't long after her death that the sightings began. Servants fled the house in the dead of night, speaking of a woman in brown, gliding silently through the halls. Her presence was icy. The air would change when she entered a room. Candles flickered violently. Mirrors cracked without reason. Dogs whimpered and refused to enter certain rooms, their eyes fixed on something humans couldn't see. In 1835, during a Christmas gathering, 2 guests staying at Raynham Hall experienced the terror firsthand. One awoke to the sound of heavy footsteps outside his room. He opened the door and saw her, Lady Dorothy, floating just above the ground, her face shrouded in shadows, her eyes dark sockets staring into his soul. He screamed so loudly, the entire household came running, but she had vanished. Nearly a century later, in 1936, 2 photographers working for Country Life magazine were documenting the grand staircase when one of them shouted, "Wait, what is that?" In the developed photograph, a transparent figure descends the stairs. A translucent gown, a hollow face. The infamous image of the Brown Lady of Raynham Hall was born. Experts have studied the photo for decades. Some call it a masterpiece of trickery, others proof of the afterlife. But no one has ever debunked it. Since then, stories have only grown darker. A historian visiting the hall in the 1980s claimed he heard whispers in the drawing room, whispers that repeated his own name. A child, on a school tour, pointed to a portrait of Lady Dorothy and said, "That's the woman who talks to me in the garden." The staff dismissed it until she described in detail a necklace Dorothy had worn, one never mentioned in the tour. Even today, the hall is said to be alive with her presence. Lights flicker without cause. Doors slam shut behind lone visitors. A chilling perfume of roses, Dorothy's favorite, often floods rooms thought to be empty. But worst of all is the staircase, the exact spot where the photograph was taken. Visitors have reported a deep, primal sense of dread standing there, as if something is watching, waiting, perhaps choosing who will be next to see her. They say if you stare long enough up those stairs, you might catch a glimpse too. But be warned, if you do see the Brown Lady, she might see you back. And if she does, she never forgets.